So I think people have to be prepared. And as I said, this is a national issue, not just for people nearing retirement, because young people might say, oh, well, all that will get sorted out by the time I get there. And it is an issue for people already retired. So I think that's the point that we need to make, because we need to get as many people as possible understanding that this is a national issue, and it is an issue which is going to affect practically the whole country, well, the majority of the country, hopefully not in a negative way going forward, but no, it's poised to affect us in a negative way.
I hope you realize what good points you've been making.
Yeah.
When I tell you, because you've talked about these contracts that people are engaged in. Even government is doing it. Government breaking every rule and hiring clerks and putting to work in ministries and telling them they are contract employees. They don't work for themselves. They're subject to all the rules of the organization. They're subject to, they get vacation, all kind of stuff. They can't bring in their own staff, and government have them in there because the IMF don't want you to pay out so much in contributions. You see, the IMF is marching its scheme at one thing and then telling you how to fix it the next, because they are insisting that government put these people on contract. You put them on contract and do not pay national insurance contributions for them. And some of these people are diligent. I mean, if I don't pay my contributions, I am not going to get any returns when I get older. So they go to national insurance and say, I want to pay as a person. And national insurance tells them, sadly, you are not self-employed, so we can't take your money. So they are between a rock and a hard place. I know of several people who have done that and were turned back by national insurance by saying, but you are not self-employed.
Are you serious?
I am serious as a heart attack. You know, and this is what has happened. Government is doing it. Even all those people who you saw that were employed for the National Assistance Board, that were go and sit down with old people and keep the company during the day, that kind of thing. 450.
The home help.
Not the home help, but they got some companions now. Who got to go and, none of them were paying contributions. No contributions being paid on their behalf. The people who clean up the ash and clean the streets and that kind of stuff, no contributions.
Yeah,
so the government's making sure the national insurance scheme does not get any funds on one hand, and then come around and the other side, people gonna get more funds for bad people. The government is inconsistent. They don't know what they're doing, and they're doing it anyway.
This is some great points here, because I mean, when you really think about it, everybody's going to be affected, even those who are, presently getting their pension, because if this is what is happening, you're not getting any, the funds are not coming in, so it's bound to happen all over again. Oh my God.
You can't get blood. Don't have them got no blood in it, you can't get out some. The problem is that the government taking dictates from people who don't care about Barbados. They look at a balance sheet and they say, well, you're going to trim here, and you're going to trim here. Not realize that when you trim here, that trimming is a person.
Yes.
With children and family life. IMF don't see people, they see numbers. Government is supposed to see the people and to say, no, we are not doing that. Yes, we need your help, but we can't take your help under any circumstance. These people just cave in and let the government, let the IMF.
Caswell, I think also you have to bear in mind that the individuals who come representing the IMF, we talk about the IMF as though the institution is coming. There are people who come, and these people have their perceptions about what should be happening in a poor, small, developing Black country. And there are certain things that they believe that we shouldn't have.
Yeah, like free education and
yes, and they've always expressed concerns about those things as if we didn't work hard to build them up, the healthcare and the education. So, I mean, for example, when they set up the Millennium Goals, I mean, most of them we had met already. So remember as an individual that's coming. So when we believe that there's a certain standard that we need to meet for our people, they're not looking at us like that. They don't see us like that. They don't see us like that. This is a poor developing country that doesn't have any resources. We're not supposed to be able to do the things that we've been doing for all these years through sheer hard work. That's what it has been, sheer hard work and discipline.
They
But
don't say
if Barbados becomes indisciplined now, and that's why I made the point too about the process. That process that you go through, there's a reason for it, and that discipline has held us in good stead, even though sometimes I rail against it. In terms of people feeling that they're exercising the discipline. But all that's part of the process. I will rail against it. Maybe it'll be improved a bit. But the fundamental discipline that we have exercised and most of the things that we have done in the past, that has to continue. Otherwise, the whole place can shackle out. We don't have the resources that other people have. I mean, like Trinidad could do certain things and laugh because there was a time in Trinidad, for example, used to export a lot of juices. They could go back to growing those. We used to buy a lot of juices from Trinidad. Jamaica too. Jamaica has a lot of resources. Guyana, and anytime they want to wheel and come again and do something else, they still got resources. Barbados doesn't have those resources like Guyana. So the thing that has kept us going is sheer hard work and discipline. We can't afford to do the things that other countries do. We have to be disciplined. So if we don't keep being disciplined and we think that certain things aren't important anymore, I'm sorry, but it's all going to come to naught, because that is what has kept us. That's what has kept us going, the way that we do things.
Yes. This is so interesting for me. I'm telling you the truth. Very interesting. Winston, you've come on. Thank you so much. And anybody, if you want to come on, I forgot to put the link there. Did I put the link as yet? But in our next, we have another 20 minutes. You are free to come on and to make your comment, and also to you can ask your questions as well. So I want to say to ask Mr. Clark, listening to everything been said this evening, we're talking here about a petition that came from the people. That was the idea that came from the people, because this show, that's all it's about. We're serving the people. And they've been pushing all of last night. People just been talking about petition. And so we're working on the petitions. Someone from the people said, listen, volunteer, I will create the petition. Is there what's the benefit of that? Does it make any sense? Somebody's saying it should go to the president. Where is it going? Do you believe this petition will make any sense? And what should we be asking for in this petition?
Good night to the panelists. Good night to everyone. Well, as far as the petition is concerned, I can remember we had a petition relative to the vaccine mandates, and nothing was done relative to that. However, there must be a certain number as far as the petition is concerned. And I believe Caswell will correct me here. There has to be 10,000 in order for it to be debated. Is that correct?
I'm
not sure.
I don't think, do we have that in our legislation? I don't recall.
I don't think so.
We don't have that in our legislation, as far as I recall. Anybody else out there can correct us.
I think there is, because they have done some reading on it, where you are either get a sitting MD or you take it to the.
You mean a private members, so that it could be done by a member, and it would be a private members motion or something like that. Okay.
Something like that. But if we want to, we can take it to the president, because after all, the president is the person who has to sign off on the bill if it is passed. All right. But a lot of people are discouraged because of the detractors, and I want people not to be discouraged, because as long as we stand focused and unite, we can accomplish anything. Or Joseph Stalin made an example where he took a chicken into the Politburo and he pulled the feathers out, left it tattered and bloodied, and took a piece of bread out of his pocket. And that same chicken he had mistreated followed him and ate. And he told the Politburo, this is how we can treat the people. This government is doing this very same thing to the people. And I want you all to remember this. Remember during the COVID period, where people were complaining about the medication they were getting at Harrison Point and how it was counterproductive. And the PM came on to television and said, y'all complaining about medications, someone that can't even get it pronounced. I remember that. I will never forget that. And it showed me the way she thinks of the people of Barbados, if you all remember that. And they keep belittling us with partying and handouts, because that is what we accept. All right? We need, if we keep with the mindset of the detractors, a lot of us will still be sitting in the back seat of the bus or still be using colored bathrooms. We can't afford to let that frustrate us or discourage us. All right? I'm asking that as many people as possible place their names on the petition. And not only that, if we get permission for the protest march, as many people as possible come out. I'm going to do as much advertising as possible. All right? But these things, if we could keep bombarding them with the pressure, Marcia, if we could keep bombarding them, they will have to give in, because we are the people and they work for us. I am exceptionally happy that Miss Eastman is here to grace us with her knowledge. All right. I love the fact that I've been able to listen to her and Caswell through these past couple of nights, and I would have learned quite a bit. I'm telling you, right? And I thank you. I would have had the chance to speak to one of your staff, and I know for sure that you didn't open your offices because your staff member told you shut down. You shut down today, so we are aware of that. All right, and we're not going to let anything frustrate us. Caswell is a very, very determined and outspoken person, and I look up to him. I have the highest and utmost respect for him. All right, and if he's behind something, I will go to the end behind it. I'm telling you. All right, and this is a very, very serious thing that we're facing, and it has consequences for the young, the middle-aged, and the elderly. All right, this is all I have to say. As you can hear, my voice is going. I've been consistently bombarded with calls. All right, so I've been going for days now on end. All right, thank you for having me. Have a good night, everyone. All right, and just keep the fight up, Marcia. You are an unsung hero. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can take for that voice, but I cannot tell you on.
Thank you. Okay, I was muted. My mic was giving me trouble, but thank you so much, Winsome, for what you shared, and just for the encouragement. You know, when we send things, you're sending it out. That's the thing. We all do different things, and that's how united we stand. Somebody put that there. You know, in the comment section. United we stand, divided we fall. And I hope we remember this. When the petition comes out, the numbers matter. Numbers matter. Representation matter, and it numbers. You know, so it's important that you sign. It is important that you come out to the protest march. And you might say, why are you doing it so quickly? You don't have enough time to advertise. You have to remember, look at what we're facing, what we're being faced with. By Wednesday, they're going now to debate it again. It's going to go to the Senate. right? It's going to go to the Senate by Wednesday. So that is why Caswell said today was a sick out, and we said, why now? We can wait and do it a different time. No, we had to go today because it helped to add pressure. It's about adding pressure. You see, so it's important that we work together. We work together. Don't stay home if the protest is happening. Don't stay home. Anything you see come out on the protest, share it. Okay, and the petition as well. Caswell, as we're coming down, another 15 minutes or so. What do you want to say to the people about what should we be saying? What is it that we want to happen? Is it that we're saying put back the age to 67? And are we saying to the politician, come down to 67 with us? What are we saying are we saying that the contributions need to get back up to 500? Because really and truly, I think Orville is who put it in the chat. When I did it, he's right, it's a 50%. Why so high? 50% increase in the contributions. Why so high? Can we negotiate 25, or should we go back to 500? What are we asking for, Caswell?
Look, 500 was adequate and has always been adequate. It was adequate from 1966 till now. The problem is they want to delay you getting your pension as much as possible. And what will happen here, you have people, when I worked at National Insurance, I encountered a lot of people who had 499 contributions, 460, some kind of things, and they did not get a pension. They had them to rely on the welfare department and family for a living. Sometimes, let me show you something, see? You might not be very employable, and you get a little job here. Next thing, people lay you off, you go and work, then you don't work for a couple of years, you get a little something else. And then people say, oh, it's only 14.4 years. No, sometimes people don't work that much. But we're going to let them fall through the cracks. Because we must take care of our brothers and sisters. We must take care of each other. You know, look. I see the Muslims have something they call zakat. And the poor Indians, the poor Muslims, they benefit from that. This is when you make interest or whatever, or on the things that you lend or sell or whatever, they don't keep the interest for themselves. They give it to the poor. They have that. They take care of that. We don't have any such thing in Barbados for among our people. So we had to provide for it. So you can put people in the arms house, but they don't have no arms houses anymore, really, because they shut them down. Because each parish, remember, the boy had an arms house. Then they call them different hospitals. Then they call them places to put convention centers. But you don't have that facility. Everybody will not be able to meet the 500 contributions or the 750 now. But because you don't meet them, what will happen? It's sometimes it's 2 or 4 to 1. Right? So I don't understand why you are going to penalize people who couldn't do better. Leave it at 500.
But why, if a person is, if the person has made contributions, why couldn't you have a prorated pension?
That is even better. That's saying none at all. Because let's do something, see? We have situations where
I know if I went to court, I don't, because that seems wrong to me. It just seems wrong. It can't be right that because you didn't make the threshold of the 500 that you get nothing. It shouldn't be an all or nothing. To me, you should be able to get a pension, but then a smaller pension.
I believe so, and as a matter of fact, I've seen schemes that do that, you know. But and even now with the public service pension scheme that they're now creating, they are now bringing it down to 3 years. You will not qualify to get a pension after 36 months. But at the same time, you're taking that national insurance one to 14, almost 15 years. Doesn't make sense. You're doing something on one hand and then turning back on the other.
Mhm.
But you see, that makes one wonder if, if people read both of the bills, if they sit there with an understanding of what is happening in Barbados, because I mean that's how you govern. You can't govern in silos. The reason you're the government is because you're supposed to have oversight and know everything that's going on in different areas, and then be able to make these decisions.
Yeah, boy, I tell you. So people are saying that they want the politicians to be on par in terms of, because we're they had us at what, 60. Are we saying then we're going to go back to 67? We want them, so we want the contributions to be at go back to the 500, because we have to be able to say what we want. And are we saying that we need to go back to 67?
You're talking about going back to 67, I'm talking about going back to 65.
To 65. Okay, 65.
Because all you needed to maintain that 65 is proper management and not squandering the fund.
Okay.
And proper investment.
Proper management. Okay. So you're saying 65. Are we also saying that the politicians should be at 65 as well?
Look, what is good for the goose but in terms of sauce for the goose should be sauce for the gander. If you are politicians are giving public service, right? The guy who comes around mornings and with the truck and take up my garbage, he is also giving public service. And I believe that they give more public service and more valuable public service than the politicians that we have right now. But those guys, in order to get their pension, they have to wait 40 years to get a full pension. There is no logic to it. Unless you're looking at some sort of hierarchical structure and say, well, look, we are better than them, so we get ours at 50, and and just 8 years service. The civil servants are a little better than them, so they will have to wait 33 and 30 years. But then the people at the statutory boards, they got to wait 40 years to get this similar thing. Why all of us are giving public service? So all of us should be in one. There should be a public service pension plan that covers everybody, from the president down, like how it is done in the United States. Because the dog catcher and the president get their pensions under the same terms and conditions. It is just that the president might get more because he make more money. But we have these snobbish type of rules that some people should deserve more and better than everybody else. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all, because I come from the poor of the poorest of the poor, and I see how they look down people like me. I didn't have any gold spoon. I know Lynette's father. He and I sat over the table many times, so I know her background as well. And we come from the Sandy Lane, so we are not to be listened to or respected, might even be lied upon. Because today I don't see, just know what on my other party I looking and see that somebody saying that I'm a member of the Barbados Labour Party. I want to be happy people saying that. But you see that, but I don't mind. Trust me, I don't mind the saying
But
these things.
Caswell, if you were a member of the Barbados Labour Party, does it mean that everything that you have been saying on these programs is a lie? Weren't you
That's
largely talking about the legislation? Is it that your brain is going to function in some different way because you are or was a member of a particular party? Don't let those comments interfere with the
no,
work
but
that you're doing.
they're trying to dismiss me. No, they can't bother me. They don't. I don't have any respect for them. They don't bother me. My thing is that some other people might listen to them and react and react. I said, well, look, he just want to be happy people too, and then don't prosecute their own case.
But people have to learn to be listening to what you say, what comes from your mouth, the content of your argument, and stop looking at who you might be. If I can learn anything from anybody at all, I don't look to see what they look like, where they came from, what color they are, what accent, nothing. If I could learn something, I try to learn something. And we in Barbados, we have to stop asking for who he is though, who she is though. Stop that nonsense. We were educated. We have to start listening to what people say, listen to what comes from their mouth, listen to what they write, be able to discern whether it makes sense or not, and try to learn from it and stop that nonsense about so because you feel that because somebody went to a particular school, born a particular place, went overseas or not, that somehow this is going to make their brain somehow work, function better than somebody else's. You can learn things from anybody at all and everybody. I speak to everybody, all of my clients. I can learn something from them, and I make sure that I do.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. That's very, very well said, Lynette. Very well said, because it's a kind of a culture where people are looked down on in the worst ways. It's something that I hate. Starts with that whole common entrance thing, but we won't even get into that this evening. But where I see Colin has come in, but I want to continue with Mr. Franklyn a little bit. Mr. Franklyn, so we're talking about what we want, right? So we agreed, and it seemed like everybody seemed to be agreeing on the 65 years. The 500 contribution, I don't know how the people feel about that, if that we should go back to that. Then we are saying that the politicians need to be on par. We're telling our government, the politicians that we've put there, they need to be on par with us, like they do in other countries. We don't want any separate. They're not going out at 50 and all of these different things. Somebody, Michael Singh, is saying the pension is half the salary of the politicians, while the other people are 1/5. We want everybody the same. Is that what we're saying, Mr. Franklyn?
Yes, I'm saying. I've been saying that for years.
Saying that for years.
One thing that has happened with this debate, though, is that people are becoming more aware, because right now these two pieces of legislation will impact everybody who goes into the workforce in Barbados. Everybody. So that is why people are not reacting, because some people, I'm like, they don't bother me. But when you trouble with national insurance, they said it's your lifeline. It really is. Because there are some people without national insurance wouldn't be able to eat. Won't be able to pay their bills, because they have that as the only source of income in retirement.
Yes, it's true.
That, so when you have that only source, are people going and play with it? No, you don't do that. I know now that government has messed up, and messed up royally. What you must do now is to commit to not to mess up anymore, and try to find a way to recapitalize the fund, because you are asking me to pay back money that I paid already. You're putting the burden on me.
It's unfair. It's totally unfair.
You made mistakes. I don't even know if they were mistakes, if they were deliberate or not, but you did it. You did wrong. And I am supposed to pay for your wrong?
But Caswell, you have to, and I think people have to recognize that in Barbados, I can't speak for anywhere else because this is where I live. In Barbados, it has been consistently the case that people in the upper levels make mistakes, and then the other people have to pay. I mean, it happens. You would hear people talking about productivity, and they're always talking about the workers. Nobody talks about management.
Right.
The fact that managers have to manage properly. We're always looking at the workers. When managers have to manage, Barbados is a place where you become a manager based on sometimes on who you are, and you stay in the position till you retire, whether the company is making profits or not. But everybody in Barbados, well, not everybody, but most people in Barbados haven't watched sports, how the sports are done internationally. They look at football, they start saying, oh, well, that team ain't doing good. They're going to soon fire the coach. They're going to soon fire the manager, and they understand that. And they think it's a good thing. But in Barbados, that's not the case. We never penalize management. The people then always have to pick up the slack when they do not have the opportunity to do anything different. It's the managers that do those things, that make those decisions. And then the workers have to pay. It's not right, it is wrong. You see in other countries, they fire the CEO if they're not making the money they're supposed to make. They don't fire the workers, they fire the CEO, they get a new CEO.
Correct.
So that has that thinking, because the truth is, the people think that way too. It's not just the management. They accept that you're not going to change the management. They accept that. All that has to change if Barbados is going to go forward, because the people who are in management positions, they have to perform too.
So I mean, then
on more than one occasion, I have heard MPs. I think I heard Sandra Bradshaw speak to people being paid based on productivity. I don't think she understands what she's talking about. Now, in the public service, you have some jobs that must be there. They don't produce a lot of things. Like, for instance, you have a fireman. You can pay him based on the amount of fires that you have. You know? No. So how many fires he out? You are hoping that they don't have any fires at all. But if there's one, he's there to put it out, you know. Now, if you don't lock up enough prisoners, prison officers, we can send them home, said they're not very productive. Policemen, they have enough crime, we can do. You have to have them just in case this thing happens. If you're selling stamps at the post office and paying out pensions, you service everybody that come to you on that day. And then you're going to tell me that they're not being productive? No, but I service everybody that come to Boston come. But they hear things and they rush off with them because they sound good, but they don't understand what they're talking about. You know, you can't expect to, no, mind you, if you are plotting baskets, and if I can block 50 and then if I can block 12, but you know, develop plotting 50 more productive. But it don't work so in the private sector, the public service, that services. You know, but they work off, and then they say, oh, we got to change this, we got to change that, we got to change that. They're talking foolishness, and they think they're making sense. You know, it irks me to hear them talking. But they say, look, just like this pension thing, they carry up to 68 for everybody, including the policeman. You say 68-year-old constable on the road, you think a fella can pay you any money? 68-year-old fireman, 68-year-old bus driver, who's sitting down there, so, and eyes going and all kind of stuff. You must understand that there's certain jobs, like for instance, 68-year-old air traffic controller. Next thing you hear, boom, look up, you see two planes coming down at you. You have to have understanding of what you're dealing with. They're just talking pretty. How could you change everybody age to 68?
Except yours. That's the thing. And that's the thing.
And
Except
the thing is with them, they can sit there and talk rubbish till they're 100.
correct.
You know?
So hold a bit. What I'm trying to get at here, let me just read the things. I want to get to Mr. Colin, but just bear with me. I want to make sure we know what we want because we want to complete the petition by tomorrow. So we are saying that 65 years, 500 contribution, politicians need to be on par with everybody else. More compliance officers. I saw that in the chat. To ensure contributions are paid.
What they must also do is to pay back the money that they took for national insurance and go after the defaulters. People who owe money are not paying. These are things that you must do as well.
The money that was written off, you mean?
Well, the government, when the money written off, it's still owed, you know. Doesn't mean that you're not anymore. So they still
I just wonder if you mean that one or if you mean money that went into private sector projects.
Them go pay back too.
I suggested that, and someone was telling me that money is dead, that is too long. So I said, well, that's very interesting for a government that is pursuing reparations. Well, so I don't know how you could be pursuing reparations and telling me that a couple of years ago is too long. The parliament can make anything.
Yeah, you know, they said
that's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
It was Churchill or whoever that said it, but he said that the only thing Parliament can't do is to make a man a woman a man, and they have no proof of that to be wrong.
Correct.
That is so funny. That is funny. But let me. So we have 6 things, and people, we're closing soon. So please put what you want. What is it that we want? Because you see, when we have these things, whether it's 6, 7, 10, you know, we're going to stick to them. This is what we want. You understand? All right. So think about it. Let me go to Colin. And Colin, I'm going to read the chat. Go ahead, guys. Put this stuff in the chat because we're closing. Go ahead, Mr. Colin. Thanks for joining. I see you've been on, I think, almost every night so far.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I missed the first one.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Pleasant night to each and everyone.
Good
yes.
night.
Good night.
And I want to thank Miss McLean. She's not here any longer. I want to thank you, Mr. Weeks, Miss Eastman, Caswell. I shout your name from the mountaintop. It's not a problem. Okay. I am here to support what Miss Eastman is saying with respect to the attack on our public interests, assets. I call them direct revenue generating entities. I'm speaking about entities that were under central government's protection, if you want to use that word. Or entities that were not in central government, but like SOEs, state-owned entities and so on that generated money for the state. I pay a lot of attention to international affairs. I go into countries via the internet and listen to the parliaments in those countries. I listen to the people on the streets in those countries. I go on to this gentleman by the name of Carl Schwab. What's his organization again? The World
Economic Forum.
Right. And I would listen to the guests that he bring that are speaking. They are primarily multinational corporation individuals, men and women, a few leaders of countries here and there. But if there's one sure thing that is taken away from all of my research, is that private enterprises, multinational corporations are taking over sectors in countries that make money. Nobody is trying to get the ombudsman's office here in Barbados. I use that as an example all the time. No private sector entity is trying to get that office. Why? It doesn't bring in any revenue, to my knowledge. Banks do, insurance corporations do, oil terminals do, shares in light and power, shares in the telephone, the sugar industry, the byproducts of the sugar industry, rum, molasses, biomass, so-called renewable energy. We could go the airport, the seaport, we could go on and on and on. Those entities, to my understanding, were very important to the infrastructure of Barbados as an incorporated entity. All incorporations, to my understanding, have a product to sustain them. Barbados's products were its bank, ICBL, its sugar industry, its oil terminal, etc., etc., etc. I hope people are understanding what I'm saying. This nation, for all of those years, had a standard of living, a quality of life based upon the funds that were coming from those entities, including the little taxes here and the little taxes there. But when you take those entities and you sell those entities, or you lease those entities, the $18 million every quarter that was coming out of these 15 sectors, we don't get that money anymore. I want people to calculate the amount of money that we do not get anymore. And if we're not getting that money anymore, and the country still has to be living on that standard, the money has to come from somewhere. Where is it going to come from? My observation tells me it comes from taxes, fees, and excess borrowing. And that puts you on a revolving cycle of just working to pay debt. That's what I see. If we do not have assets that are working for us as an entity, an incorporated entity, I'm not talking about myself, I'm not talking about Miss Eastman, I'm not talking about anybody in the chat who does a 9-to-5 job or have their own enterprise and make their own money to look after their families and their own private interests. I'm not talking about that. That money belongs to us. But we had entities that work for the state. We don't have those entities anymore.
Okay.
If you guys understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Colin, I take your point, because basically the question that people are asking, how would you recapitalize the fund? How would you recapitalize it? And you're saying that for a one-off payment, we've given up those assets that could have been generating revenue. So basically on a monthly basis, continually. And you know, that is a big problem that Barbados has. It's a big problem that we have in terms of our continued development.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are the sectors that we're actually earning money from? Mm-hmm. To me, that is very worrying, and I wonder why people don't talk about it more. Because all of these things are going to affect the National Insurance Fund.
Absolutely.
It's just, you know, it's basic. And, you know, we need to be addressing those things. What is actually going to earn the money? And I mean, I've been saying this for years. I don't think enough emphasis is being placed on actually generating money by Barbados. It can't just be tourism.
Right.
It can't just be tourism.
Correct.
So I don't know.
Look, Ms. Eastman,
a bigger, broader issue.
Look, I sat down and I listened to a number of these big, powerful CEOs of these multinationals speaking at the World Economic Forum. Okay, and they tell you clearly, they say clearly, we dispatch our agents to go and speak to the leaders of these countries, and they make it seem all professional and business-like. And we ask them to open up their doors to the private sector to come in and invest and stuff like that. And I'm saying to myself, well, that's what we have going on all along. Well, I born in this country, raised and see that we have people coming in from outside and they invest in Barbados. Okay, but I saw beyond that. I saw beyond that, and I understood. Looking at Venezuela, Bolivia, Cuba, all of South and Central America, what they did to South and Central America, I understood that they're not really asking. They're coming to take. And they're using individuals like Prime Minister, they're using individuals like Prime Minister Mia Mottley to do it. As soon as she got into power, she didn't waste any time starting to put these things into private sector hands. Back in 2012, Peter Wickham was advocating strongly about this privatization. And he was saying the country already privatized, so what's the big problem? You have people on the street doing the business. But we understand that in politics, privatization does not mean that I have my job or Mr. Eastman has a job or anything like that. No, it means that you're asking the state to sell or open up entities like the sugar industry, the banking sector, the insurance sector, the seaport, airport. You're asking to open them up so that private people come in and invest. But when that happens,
Colin, listen, it's quite interesting. It's a pity you came on so late. But it's past 10 o'clock, and I think we're going to try and close off now. But some excellent points, because you're talking about how we are going, could be able to get money. You're talking about revenues, and that is important. So unfortunately, we have to close off right now, but let's just revise. Let's just summarize what it is that we want. Okay, in this particular instance, so we are saying 65 years, 500 contribution. Politicians on the same par with everybody, more compliance officers to ensure contributions are paid in, pay back the money, go after the defaulters, identify the leaks in the NIS scheme, get the unpaid contributions from the big businesses, withdraw the current legislation in its present form, regular audits. Those are all the things that I was able to capture. And yes, is that correct, Mr. Franklyn?
Yes.
Colin, are you adding something that we want? Yes, go ahead, please.
I think that the NIS should return back to central government. That's me.
Okay,
thank you very much, everybody. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. So I think we have at least 11 things that we want, and we are going that when we go on the street, we know exactly why we're going, You understand? When the petition comes, you know why you're signing, and we will seek to have all of those things listed. This is what we're doing, right? And so that we are all on one page as we go. Lynette, is there anything you want to say to your people, say to Barbadians? And then Mr. Caswell, we always give him the last word. Go ahead, Lynette, before we close.
Oh, very quickly, that point that was raised by Colin about the new structure for the NIS, we talked about it, but we didn't say if we agreed with it or if we should go back to basically what Colin said. So basically, that's one of the things that we have to determine as well. I think that this particular piece of legislation, as we discussed, is going to have a significant impact on all Barbadians. And we must not only look at what is in these two pieces of legislation, but we have to think forward in terms of what could happen. This is why I raised the point about if you're going to change the amount of contributions, when an individual entered the scheme, knowing it was 500, then a person who is currently getting a pension, is there not that possibility too, that that person's pension, the amount that they receive, can that not also be changed? So seeing that we are in a position where the government has the 2/3 majority for sure, it means that the government can change just about anything it wants to change. And I make that point because I want to make the point to Barbadians that this is something that all of us must be concerned about. Don't think, well, I have my pension, I retired, so that doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm young, so I got all the time in the world, let the rest figure it out. No, all of us need to be concerned. And, you know, if you talk to somebody and they say, oh, I don't know what's going on, remember that these discussions are still available, that you can have a look at on YouTube. They're still available. So I want those that are here to spread the word about how important a thing this is to us. They've told us all this time, the NIS is our lifeline. I believe that. So I am fighting for my life basically, and others need to do the same thing. Thank you. And thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Caswell.
Thank you so much, Lynette. It's been, you know, invaluable what you've been sharing, and educational, informative. And thank you. I realize, I know it's a sacrifice, but this is our country, and we're making this sacrifice. Mr. Franklyn, God bless you. God bless you, sir. God bless you for your sacrifice and your love for people, and for being here. What is it you want to say to your people tonight?
As I've been saying all along, stand up. You have your future in your hands. The politicians don't owe you anything, and they're showing that they don't owe you anything. They owe the people that fund them outside, the people who put the money in their political campaigns. These are the people who get the contracts. You are just cannon fodder. You know? People ask how cannon fodder is. You know, the old days, you have a horse at the man running toward the gun, so you shoot them down first and the general to steady back. Or stay to the side. You really don't matter until it is just a couple of weeks before election time. Make sure they know that you matter all the time, and try to be independent as possible. Think for yourselves. Do not let the politicians think for you. They plant a lot of nonsense in your head, and people walk about saying things that are not true. And if you speak up, you're a villain. I don't mind being demonized or whatever. I know better. I know who I am, and I like who I am, and I'm not going to change because somebody curses me. But precisely, what I want to talk about is you. Stand up for yourselves. I remember we used to be our brother's keeper. You know, I remember when I grew up, we had neighbors who we would give things to, we share things, they would give us and we can share them. Well, do it on a bigger scale now. Take care of each other still. We are our brother's keepers. The people who they're selling our interest to overseas are not their keepers. They are here to make money. And when they make money, they're going to take it back home, wherever home is. But for you, home is here. And if you do not protect your own interests, nobody else will. You know? Please think on the things that we have said over these last few days. And trust me when I tell you, I am not doing this to change the government or anything like that. That is not my goal. I am doing these things to make sure the government changes its behavior, because they're not behaving like the government of the people for the people. And that's what we want. They get instructions from overseas. This is what they're going to do to Barbadians. And even though they know it's going to hurt, you know, they do it nonetheless because they're taking directions. No. You were not elected to penalize us. You were there to make our lives better. And if you can't do that job, leave. Let somebody else try.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining again tonight. And we're going to send out the information as soon as we get it. Well, I'm sure we're going to take a rest on Thursday night, but once we're going to go out Saturday, we're going to be on again Friday night. Okay. If we're going to go out Saturday, once we get that permit, listen out, make sure you do everything in the evening early, cook your dinner early, and come and sit around again, because we're going to come back once we're going out Friday. Saturday, if we're going Saturday, we're going to definitely have the show Friday night, okay? But we're going to take a break tomorrow night. In the meantime, share this out. You heard, you're responsible. We're different kinds of people now, right? We're taking responsibility, right? This is our country, and we're taking responsibility. When you see that petition comes out tomorrow, send it out, sign it, and send it out. Just share it. Okay. And when you see the stuff come out about the protest march, do the same thing, and make sure you put on your clothes and come down there. All right, guys, have a good night. Sleep well. And as usual, I want to bless you all. I bless Mr. Franklyn, bless Lynette, Maxine, and everybody who contributed. I just bless you, and I just declare that we're going to get a solution to this thing. And we thank God for what happened today, that there's some delay, and the pressure is on. And we will not back down. We're declaring we're not going to back down. We're going to keep the pressure on. God bless you all. Enjoy your night. God bless. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Yes, bye-bye.